Don't let go. Don't let go. What we're going to review today is something that you probably wouldn't have realized that they actually had out for quite some time.
I did not know they had it out until you told me about it, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, then I ended up actually picking it up because Vince told me about it.
And that is Creepshow, the limited edition soundtrack.
And here it is. I finally ended up getting mine. And it says limited edition. I mean, I don't know. Oh, the limited edition of 3,000. So apparently they only made 3,000 of these things.
Believe it or not, this soundtrack has been out for quite some time. Because I remember finding the Creepshow comic book. And when I found the Creepshow comic book, I had found a place that sells Fangoria magazines and Starlog magazines. Remember those?
Well, of course I remember those.
David and I grew up on those magazines. The place I used to get them from was this little drugstore in St. Louis. And I don't remember exactly what street it was on. I know it was on Grand Avenue, and it was right before Tower Grove Park. That's all I can remember. It was right on the corner. And I used to go into this place, and they had Fangoria magazines and Starlog magazines, and I used to look through them all the time. And like I said, when I could afford to buy them, when I got a little bit of money, I usually bought them from there. But inside the Starlog magazines and the Fangoria magazines, they had ads for Verse Saraban. I think that's how they say that name, but Verse Saraban records. And some of the records they had, it was all film music. And one of them was Creepshow. And I sat there and went, man, that'd be great to have that soundtrack. I would love to have that soundtrack. At the time, all of these things were on vinyl. Years later, eventually they did finally bring it out to CD, but the only copy of it I've ever seen on CD actually comes with some other movie with it. So there's only like bits and pieces of the Creepshow album. It's not the full thing. Then this appeared from, I believe it was La La Land Records. And immediately, as soon as I saw this go on sale, I had to get it.
And I never knew any of that. So Vince says, hey, you know, there's a Creepshow CD out. And I'm like, oh, yeah, there is? Hey, we're reviewing a bunch of Creepshow stuff this year. Why not review the soundtrack? Because, you know, a lot of people don't review soundtracks. And the soundtrack is what makes the movie so good most of the time.
And in the case of Creepshow, that's totally 100% true.
I cannot agree with you more on that, Vince. This is the true meaning of a horror movie soundtrack. When I was listening to this in my car, I'm just like, that's it. This is what a horror movie should sound like. I mean, there's so much great music on here, and it just sounds like a horror film. It's like, dun, 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 dun. It's like all piano and strings, and it's just incredible.
There wasn't, at the time it was made, I don't think there was a whole lot of synthesizer stuff. I think synthesizer music wasn't something that was really prominent because it actually was pretty expensive. And so there was very limited people that were actually using it. And usually for a movie score, you didn't hear a whole lot of stuff like that unless it was like a science fiction film.
And I have alarms going off outside, so I believe The Purge must have started this year.
Did it start already?
I think it is. I think it started, so it's a good thing I'm in my basement.
Lock yourself in, Dave.
You know, I posted this on Facebook, and as soon as I post a CD on Facebook, what's the first thing that people comment on? Oh my God, you still buy CDs. I buy all digital. You know, this is a physical thing. We can touch this. I can put this on my shelf. When you buy a digital piece of air, you can't put that on the shelf. And I have so many CDs from the past 20, 30 years or whatever. You know, I can look at that CD and remember where I was and when I got it. When you buy digital air, it's nothing. I always get a CD.
Yeah, I actually commented on this once before, and I like having an actual physical thing that you can listen to, you can look at, you can read. I mean, because you can read all the liner notes and everything, and you can look at something, you know, and you can actually listen to it and read along with it, you know, or, you know, of course, if you got songs on the thing, you can read the lyrics to these things. So I like having an actual album, the actual thing, the actual full CD.
And the stuff that's in here is just mind-boggling. So let's open it up, take a closer look at it, and see what this limited edition Creepshow is all about. It's pretty much a scream factory of CDs. It tells you everything, every single song, what each song is about. I mean, it's incredible.
And I love the artwork to it. I love all the pictures and the artwork, everything. The CD itself, it has a picture of Creep on it. I mean, it's just awesome to look at, let alone listen to.
And like what Vince said in the beginning of this review, is every single song is on here. Now, it starts out first with just the songs that are in the film, as it goes with like the big soundtracks. It goes from the prologue to Father's Day, to the Lonesome Death, to Something Tied You Over, to the Crate, to the Creeping Up on You, to the epilogue. But then it don't end there. It keeps going, and it puts on like the small things on Father's Day. Like, for example, Vince, you know, the disco music that the guy was dancing along to, that has the whole song on there.
That scene in the movie always, that song and that scene in the movie always, you know, it always made me kind of cringe because it's such a disco sounding song, but you know, and it's right in the middle of all this horrific music. It's funny.
And they even have like the graduation sound, you know, when you're like going to graduate from high school. They have that music on here because it was in the movie. I believe it was, what was that in? The Lonesome Death? I think that's what it was, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, well, he was imagining something, and they were playing the graduation music. All that's on there. It's just crazy. They have, like, I think of the radio and stuff like they're creeping up on you, like the old music and stuff, and that's all of it. Everything, every single piece of sound, music, it's all on the soundtrack. It's incredible.
So one of the things that's so awesome about this soundtrack and this musical score is that every single piece of music on this score, from the moment I put it in and listened to it, it took me right to the movie. I mean, I sat there and thought, man, this is that part with Jody Verrill, or this is that part with Father's Day. This is where he's actually coming out of the grave. This is where the crate opens up. I mean, I remembered each and everything without even seeing the film for quite some time now. I remembered each and every bit of the movie because of each and every song fit the movie so well.
Some of the horror films nowadays are just big, you know, 100-piece orchestras, and it just kind of takes away the creepiness. This is the type of soundtrack you would want to play at a Halloween party. All these songs are creepy, and they sound like a horror film, and I love the outer space stuff. That
whole sequence is kind of sci-fi fiction, you know, because it's a meteor coming from outer space. So, you know, it's got this 50s sci-fi sound to it, and it's fantastic. And like I said, all of it right then and there, I mean, you're taken right back to the movie, and you can imagine exactly what part this came in the movie, and you can see it without even actually watching the film. You can see it just through the music.
And this soundtrack is pretty expensive now. I think it's between $40 to $60 because it was a limited edition. However, I did find it off of another website for $20. Do you remember what website that was, Vince?
I think you found it on Entrada, but I believe they got some more in on La La Land, but I can't be positive about that. I think I saw something where they actually got some more in stock.
And I said this for the comic, and I said this for the movie. This is one of those rare occasions where everything just came together. The writing, the directing, the music, the acting, the effects, all of it. And I think that's why this is still one of the most classic horror films ever. I mean, it's such a good film, such a good soundtrack. And you know what, Vince?
What, pray tell?
We're still not done. We still have more... what movie are we... It's such a great movie, I forgot the name of it.
It's so great that we still have more of it.
Yeah, of whatever it is we're talking about. We're going to have more of it, because it's not over. We still got more stuff from Creepshow. I did remember it. See, I remembered it there. Yeah, there's still more stuff out there, believe it or not. So, yeah, it's going to be Creepshow all month long, so hopefully you like Creepshow. Somebody out there.
Well, even if you don't like Creepshow, we're enjoying it, so there.
Oh, yeah, I'm having a blast. I'm having a great time going back through all this, and it's been a lot of fun this month to do this.
The other thing about this score is that every song on here, every score on here is a little bit different from the others. So it going with the movie, every little story is a little bit different from the last one. So it kind of it fits that way too. Where usually you get a horror movie soundtrack, whether it be a great one or not so great one, usually the theme, they'll have one theme and it kind of goes throughout the entire soundtrack. This one, of course, doesn't have that. It has different themes, and but it goes with each one of those films, each one of the stories.
So what you're saying, there's a lot of variety in this CD.
Exactly.
We are here all month long. We are bringing you horror movies all month long, and all month long, it's going to be horrifying.
And apparently, we don't care if you like it or not. We're going to bring it to you anyway.
And I don't know. I don't know.
Don't give up on us now, Dave. Stay with us, Dave. Don't let go. Don't let go.